Alright, this is 4th grade, Module 5, Lesson 28, and in this lesson we're going to be solving word problems with line plots. And really the math on this lesson is really easy, and it's going to feel like we're kind of taking a slight detour compared to our previous videos, because we kind of are. We're moving from something that's definitely fractions and algorithmic based to something that's more measurement and data based, where we are involving fractions, but it's really for the purposes of laying out and displaying some data. Line plots is something that a lot of us old fogies might not be familiar with prior to Common Core, and so that's why I'm really making this video. So let's get started.
So a group of students measured the lengths of their shoes. The measurements over here are shown, and our task is to make a line plot. Now, parents and teachers, line plot, super duper easy. There isn't much to it. What I emphasize when I'm teaching this with my students is good enough. I'm always talking about good enough. For example, did I use a ruler? No, I just kind of hand drew this. I'm trying to be straight, but I'm not being all that super duper precise. Now, the first step is we need to find our range of data. Where does this number line need to start at, and where does it need to end? Well, it does not need to start at 0, because over here, the lowest number we have is in the 7s. We don't have any 6s. So we know that we can begin down here at 7, and because the highest number we have is in the 8s, 8 3/4, that means we need to go up to 9. So that means 8 goes right in the middle. And so there is our line plot starting out. And you'll notice I didn't use a ruler. I just kind of estimated where the 8 goes. And so there we go. And now our task is to go plot these fractions on our number line. So the point of this, parents and teachers, is really to reinforce that for our 4th graders, that fractions are numbers and fractions live on a number line. And that's really kind of a cool feature about using line plots, is that they remind our students that fractions are numbers. And so we can just place our fractions. We could go through in any order we want, as long as we're placing them accurately. I tend to look for the fractions that have the largest unit sizes. And in this case, it's the halves, because those denominators are the smallest, which means their unit size, their fractional unit, is going to be the largest. And I tend to graph those first. So 8 1/2 right here is going to go right here. So here's 8 1/2, and I'm going to put an X right on top of that. I'm going to look. Let's see. Oh, here's 7 1/2. So 7 1/2 goes right here. 7 1/2, and again, I'm going to put an X. Let's see, do I have any other halves? Yes, I have another 8 1/2, which means I'm going to put an X on top. Let's see, do I have any others? Well, here's an easy one to plot, is 8. That's easy. Let's just put an X right there on top of the 8. Let's see, do I have any others? Well, I don't. Now I have quarters, nothing but quarters. 7 3/4, 7 3/4, 7 3/4, 8 3/4. So what that means is I need to cut our whole number from 7 to 8, and from 8 to 9, I need to cut those into 4 pieces total. Well, right now I have 2 pieces, 1, 2, and 1, 2. So I need to cut from 7 to 8 into 4 pieces. So that just means I need to cut each of those halves into 2 pieces. I now have quarters. So if I want to locate where 7 3/4 is, it's right here, 7 3/4, and I'm ready to put an X. So this 7 3/4 is the X I just put right here. And look at this, we got another 7 3/4, so I'm going to put another X. I've got another 7 3/4 right there, so I'm going to put another X. And then lastly, 8 3/4. Oh, I need to cut this strip into 4 pieces, so I'm going to cut each half into 2 pieces, and we now have 8 3/4 right there. So this 8 3/4 goes right here. And now, once I've got everything properly plotted on the number line, I'm ready to answer any number of questions. For example, whoa, yikes, who has a shoe length 1 inch longer than Dickens? So Dickens is right here, 7 3/4. So here's 7 3/4, and I want to know who is exactly 1 inch. It's this person right here, 8 3/4. That's Mary, down here. Who has a shoe length 1 inch shorter than Susan? Well, I go over here. Oh, here's Susan. Susan is at 8 1/2. So I need to go 1 inch shorter. That's 7 1/2. So I need to find, that's Ben. So the idea of a line plot is that it allows us to take all of these numbers and sort them out and then easily look at these and answer questions, make statements about our collected data. And that wraps up 4th grade Module 5, Lesson 28, using word problems as our context for creating line plots.